Let's date forever. Here's your weekly dose of relationship fuel with Sammy and Nathan Yeager. Hello and welcome to Date Forever. In this week's episode, we're chatting about the struggles of a one-sided relationship, how keeping your dates fresh and exciting fuels your relationship, and how the Shake and Date app can take the fuss out of organising date nights. But before we dive into that, Sammy, what's been fueling you up this week?
Do you know what fueled me up the most this week?
What was it?
Doing nothing.
Doing nothing?
We blocked out our long weekend here in New South Wales. We had a public holiday on a Monday.
Yeah.
And conveniently, Nathan...
I had my RDO as well.
Yeah, on the Friday. So we had like an extra long weekend. And we'd originally like blocked it out with intention to go away or book an Airbnb or something. And then it all got a bit expensive. And we thought, we live close to the beach. It's spring. Why don't we just have a little staycation?
Yeah. How good was it?
So we stayed in each other's company and had lots of little mini dates across the long weekend, and it was just lovely. And we slept in and we set no alarms and we went to bed when we wanted and it was perfect.
Yeah, it was just one of those times where we could do whatever we wanted to the whole weekend and with no real agenda. So we did a few chorey things, a few things around the house, worked on the business a little bit, did some exercise, and then, did some real fun dates as well.
We did a hot tub at home, and if you listen to our show during lockdown for, the majority of 2020 and 2021, that's how we were spending our Saturday night. So it was nice to do like a little reunion show because this time last year we were in a government mandated very severe lockdown. So 12 months later, Saturday night, still doing hot tub at home.
And we had some friends over and had a really great weekend.
Yeah, so I started that by saying what fueled me up was doing nothing, and then we followed by sharing all of the things that we did do. But we had a lot of lazy time. A lot of relaxed, resting.
I think it's not necessarily about doing nothing, though. It's about not having all that time blocked out and planned and
scheduled go.
Yeah, and just being able to go with the flow and choosing what we want to do when we want to do it. So that was really great. And now, speaking of dating, let's dive into this week's ep.
Today's guest is Matt Richardson. Matt and Lenise Richardson are the couple behind the newest relationship app, Shake and Date, an app that takes the thinking out of date night planning. After they went through a rough patch during their engagement, Lenise created a physical jar full of date ideas to show Matt that she was committed to putting in effort and quality time into their relationship. The date jar worked so well for them that they knew they had to share it with everyone, but in the shape of an interactive app. Matt was previously the head strength and conditioning coach for the Australian Gridiron team, and Lenise, a makeup artist with an extensive background in makeup education and fashion events. They both regularly heard stories from their clients about the struggles of relationships. Matt and Lenise have been together for over 10 years now and married for 4. Together, they are an ordinary Aussie couple who wanted to share their experience with other couples. There are apps for singles, apps for swingers, but not much out there to help couples stay couples. You go from being single to dating to being in a relationship, and at some stage, trying to think and plan dates and bedroom adventures becomes a chore. Shake and Date makes planning a fun and exciting date easy. It's available now on both Google Play and the Apple Store. Welcome to the show, Matt.
Thank you so much for having me, guys. I'm stoked to be here.
Oh, it's really exciting to have you on here because so much of what we just read out there resonates with us as well and is like very parallel to what we're doing here. So really excited to have this convo.
Yeah, that's when I was listening to some of your podcasts, that was definitely resonating with a lot of the things that we go through ourselves, which makes it amazing.
Yeah. So, Matt, take us back. So you've been together for over 10 years now and married for 4 of those. But in your bio, we kind of mentioned that you hit a rough patch even like while you're engaged in that sort of like honeymoon stage of your relationship.
Yeah. So we'd been together for 6 years when I proposed. But as most females do, she'd started putting pressure on me to propose from about probably the 3-year mark. So my beautiful wife is a cradle snatcher. So she's a couple of years older than me. So she was putting pressure on, and when did I know she was the one? When it really cemented for me was I do a boys trip every year with some guys I went to high school with, and we went to Bali, and we were having the time of our lives. And even though we were having the time of our lives, I still really missed her. And that was sort of for me when I knew. So when I came back, I'd planned to propose, went to New York, and she'd probably been pressuring me for about 18 months at this time. So we went to New York for a white Christmas and I proposed. And when it happened, I feel like looking back and sort of assessing what happened, both of us talking to each other, was I'd say she got what she wanted. And then once she got that, it freaked her out. She was like, is this what I really want? She was getting close to 30. So I think it was maybe even a potential quarter-life crisis mixed in with I've got what I wanted, what now? So January and the start of Feb were pretty rough. And she actually stayed at a friend's house for a couple of nights because she was unsure about what she really wanted. And she came back 2 days before Valentine's Day and she's like, no, this is what I want. And then I said, well, actually, to be honest, I've been doing some thinking myself and I've been the one putting in all the effort. I've been going 80, 90% of the way. You've been only meeting me 10, 20%. I was like, you know what? You've actually given me time to think. So Valentine's Day is in 2 days. I'm doing nothing for you. And nothing. You're not even getting the card this year. But you need to do something that requires some sort of effort to prove to me that you want to be here. So 2 days later is Valentine's Day and she pulls out this jar and she's made this jar with a love heart on it. It says date jar. And inside on paddle pop sticks, color coordinated and everything is 52 different date ideas to go on. Some ranging from an hour to half a day to full day activities. So obviously, can't be disappointed with the effort there. She put in the effort.
Called you bluff. Yeah.
She did. So that was what I needed to see from her to show that she was in this. And then obviously on the back of that, going on those dates and spending that quality time together definitely helped us get back to where we knew we could be when I proposed and where we should be. And then about 3 months later, off the back of that, the success of the activities jar, it was her birthday, so I made her the restaurants version. We are massive foodies and we love our food, but we tended to just go to the same restaurants. And I know you are as well in Sydney, but on the Gold Coast as well, we are so spoilt for choice of restaurants. It's disgusting. And we hadn't been utilising it. So I thought, what better way to mix it up than to have to choose a different one each time and to help us date and go out and do those things.
Yeah, that's amazing. I guess I'm hypothesizing here, but I imagine that it wasn't just that she actually put in some effort for Valentine's Day itself, but I guess she was also setting the intention for 52 dates coming up ahead. Like she was obviously setting that future forecast for your relationship as well, and you would have seen the forward-thinking effort as well.
Yeah, definitely. It was just everything to do with it. The fact that she had to think about what was she going to do. She had to put in the creative effort. She didn't just go out and buy something. She made something. And then, like you said, with the thought process of this is for the future, not just a Band-Aid patch to maybe buy me a little bit more time.
Yeah. So then what happened? You started doing the dates?
So, yeah, 100%. We started going on the dates. Probably my favorite one to date, we went drunk Kmart shopping. So we lived a 5-minute walk from the Robina Town Centre where there's a Kmart. So we sat at home, went through a bottle of wine between us, and then we walked to Kmart. We had $50 each. Yeah. And we had to shop and come out with the best stash of goodies for $50 to see who'd win.
Yeah. Okay. What was the criteria?
Oh, there was none. It was just an arbitrary criteria. But
what gold can you find for $50?
Yeah. And at Kmart, there's so much gold there, right?
Yeah. Your $50 could go a long way.
Yeah, go a long way. Yeah.
So I love this because, you're on the Date Forever podcast, and we are huge advocates of this idea about being proactive with your relationship and choosing to date yourself and your chosen person for forever. And that, like you said, with that date jar, they can be little half an hour dates. They can be full day activities or overnight things or whatever it might be. But it really is about being intentional and proactive about carving out quality time for the person that you've chosen to do life with. So talk to me a little bit about how that sort of changed your relationship, because obviously there was the activities, but there must have been more to it than that.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's one of those things where I feel like everyone goes through this, right? And I was really trying to pinpoint where the struggles start for a lot of people. And I think it's when people move in together, because to me, that's when the relationship goes from quality of time to quantity. Mm-hmm. So before you move in together, you're going and doing things together, and you're not living together. So you meet somewhere and that's your time together, and then you go off. When you move in together, you're sitting on the couch together so often, or you're in the same environment that you feel like you see them all the time and spending so much time, but none of it's actually quality. It's just quantity. And I mean, how many couples can relate to before, when you didn't live together, you'd go out and meet at a restaurant and you'd just sit there. It's the two of you. You're fully engaged, eating a meal together. All of a sudden you live together. You can't decide where you're going to go. So you order Uber Eats. So while you're waiting for your Uber Eats, you're on one end of the couch on your phone. She's on the other end of the couch on her phone. You put something on Netflix. You're both sort of half disinterested in that. Sort of someone gets a notification, they're looking at their phone. So to me, that was definitely when it really changed. Pinpointing that, I guess, to go with the date jars, making us get back to that quality time, I think is definitely what really helped change that. And that was where the idea for the app and everything stemmed from, was that worked for us, getting back to that quality of time. So as a personal trainer, I'm pretty much everyone's cheapest psychologist. And people were finding and running into the same issues. And I'd say, look, we made this jar. This is what it did for us. But no one would make the jars. So I was like, well, how can I help more people experience this? I was like, maybe I'll make the jars and then I'll sell them. And then I was like, then I'd have to get stock, then I'd have to put it. And I was like, I've got the artistic talent of a 3-year-old. So unless people think they're for charity, no one's going to buy my special jars. So I think I was sitting in a cafe and I sort of looked around and I saw most people on their phones. And I was like, I need to make this into an app to help people overcome what we had overcome.
This stagnation or the passive state of your relationship.
Yeah, because that's why I love your podcast and the name of your podcast, Date Forever, because it's that quality time that people just don't give to each other anymore. And I mean, there's 168 hours in a week, and couples these days can't seem to find 2 hours to give to each other. So I think having, like you said, the intention, and the rule for us is we pull it out on a Sunday no matter what. So we pull it out no matter what, and that week we find a time where it fits for both of us. There has to be a time. So if it doesn't work, we will shift things to make the time work, because our relationship at the end of the day is so important to us.
Yeah. I really love that you do shift those other commitments and really do make it a priority, because so many people just push it down to the bottom of the list and it's like, oh, we can do that next week, or we can do that week after or whatever. And it ends up being that you don't go on a date then for months or anything like that. So yeah, I really love that you are committed to executing it that week.
Yeah.
I mean, even as like Nathan and I sit here, we've hosted, I don't know, I think that we're up to like approaching 150 episodes of the show. But we are still guilty of that phone, Netflix, Uber Eats behavior that you described. Like, we're very conscious about our relationship, but we still fall into that from time to time. Yeah. And that's not time together. There's no engagement with one another.
Yeah. And I think social media is a double-edged sword, right? I mean, it's so great, but it's so devastating at the same time. And the same as you guys, we're so conscious of it, and you guys are so conscious of it, and it's still hard. Like it is hard work. It is hard work. You do have to be so conscious and really fight that.
Yeah. I've heard this great analogy, right? It's like if you were to buy a brand new sexy car, or it doesn't have to be a car, like handbag, something that you were really worked really hard to acquire and it's a possession that you're proud of, like you would think nothing of that maintenance and whether or not that was washing it, taking care of it, storing it appropriately, like getting external advice or taking it to a mechanic or whatever the thing might be. And you don't think of that as like an investment or like such a burden to carry. Like, no, you want to do those things to keep that car or whatever it might be, boat, toy, in good condition because it matters to you. And you know that if you don't take care of it, if you don't prioritize that care, that maintenance, you can't expect for it to work the same way. And yet we just don't do that with our relationships. So there seems to be a lot of effort in acquiring the relationship. A lot of effort goes into being the best, presenting the best version of yourself, showing up with intention and planning those dates, being very intentional about prioritizing when and where and how you're going to see each other and doing new things together.
Or spending hours and hours and hours on the apps swiping.
Yeah.
If we spent as much time
in the hunt stage versus the delight. And then the maintenance, like our business is Fuel Co. or the Fuel Collective. And it's about how do you find or how do you make time to add fuel to your relationship? So I really love this ritual that you've created. So before that, what was your dating sort of rhythm or structure? Or like how were you doing it before the jar?
Before the jar, I guess it's so my wife is very indecisive. So
the jar helps a lot.
Yeah, well, it definitely did because that was the other thing with the effort of the jar was that when I was thinking about everything I was tired from making all of the decisions. So if I didn't make a decision, we just wouldn't do anything.
Yep.
So pre-jar, it was a lot of me going, okay, we're going to go here. Okay, we're going to go there. Like I said, we're big foodies, so the restaurants thing wasn't too much of a hassle for us to go and do because we are big foodies. And when my wife's not competing, then we were on a couple of nights a week. So,
but I guess even you were saying that you were fatigued and you were going to the same place all the time, and so that was obviously some of that decision fatigue. It's like, oh well, let's just go back to this place. It was good.
Correct, and it starts to get monotonous. And I think restaurants are fantastic, but playing activities together, like dates, like that I'm very competitive, that competitive streak. Do you know what I mean? Like mini golf together, giving each other shit and like making each other laugh. You tend to do that, I think, more at activities than you do at restaurants.
Yeah.
And I think that was probably lacking for us going into the engagement pre-jars was obviously saving for New York, saving for the ring, going for food instead. And then obviously the decision fatigue. It was sort of the perfect storm to not get out and spend the quality time on activities. So, it was not very structured. It was a bit haphazard beforehand, for sure.
Yeah. It's been quite a few years now, I think, but Nathan and I introduced a 2x2x2 rhythm for us. So the first two is that every other week, so twice a month, we go out for a date. Nath organises something in the first half of the month and I organise something in the second half of the month. And then every other month, we try and have a night away. And then twice a year to take a holiday together. So 2 dates a month, a night away every 2 months, and 2 holidays a year. So that 2x2x2.
I love that.
But before we introduced that, I was you. I was the ringleader. I was the organizer. I was the decision maker on all of that. And it was very fatiguing to be bringing all of the intentionality to our relationship. Like, not that I wasn't having a great time when we were out and we were in each other's company, but I wanted to relax into receiving. I wanted to get to be excited about like, well, where are we going? And I think something that we don't often think about is like choosing the restaurant or choosing the activity. You then also have a level of accountability for that experience.
Yes, definitely.
And if it doesn't go well, which sometimes things just are like, oh, that didn't quite hit how I thought it would.
Yeah.
Like you carry the weight of that as well. So
you share in the wins and losses, I guess. Yeah.
So, well, going off the back of that, I mean, to me, that's what we like to call the app. Is we like to call it the cool third friend. Like, you know, when like Sammy, you'll suggest something to Nathan, he's like, nah. And then someone else will say it and you'll be like, that's a great idea. And you're like, I just said that. Yeah. So it's like, we like to call the app the cool third friend. It makes the decisions that you're both like, that's a good decision. Whereas if the partner said it, you might be like, we're not doing that. So exactly like you said, it holds a lot of the responsibility, the app, rather than it being on one of the partners. So you can both enjoy it more.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, because I really like that with our dating routine as well, is that like when it's my turn to choose, I can either do something that I think Sammy will really love, or I can do something that I'm going to really love. and so it's that opportunity that I don't need to just please Sammy for. I can do the things that I really want to do as well. So
yeah, a great example of that was like I organized a paint and Picasso night. It was like just go to one of those classes and you try and recreate a painting and it was for me. Like I was like, I really want to do this, but I will enjoy doing it, Nath. But I really want to do this. And then he was so much better at painting than me. Like I was like blown away. And then when we shared it with our friends and family, they were like, "Oh, that one's definitely Sammy's," and I was like, "Nope, that one's Nathan's." Everyone else was surprised that Nathan had out-artisted me.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, it took us a lot of years to come to a practice that really works for us. And that's not to say that we don't have dates or quality time in those alternate weeks, but those are the big ones. So another thing that's working really well for us at the moment is we're doing 2 coffees and a treat, and we're trying to do it for $20. So we moved to a new area, it's coming up a year now, but we've been very consciously trying to try new cafes and get 2 coffees and whatever they've got in their cabinet for $20. And we generally walk there and have a chat, but designing a dating practice for you and your partner that would make you feel amazing, and for it to not be like this burden, hasslesome thing that you have to do, but it's something that you get to do. So much of a new relationship is having brand new experiences with this person. We need to maintain that. You're never going to have done all the things. There'll still always be a new restaurant, new experience, new game, new venue, new country, whatever it might be to experience. So I'd love to know, how is the app helping? Tell us a little bit about how it works, how people can use it.
So we have 3 jars. We have an activities jar, a restaurants jar, and a Kama Sutra jar.
Oh, yes.
So you and your partner put in your preferences, as in what's your activity level, food preferences, like are you vegan or vegetarian, what restaurant cuisine types do you like, and then your, we call it your bedroom antics level. So how experimental or how flexible do you like to get? Yep. And then from there, that formulates in the back end. So you go into the jar and you'll shake the activities jar and it'll pull you out 3 to choose from. So it's location specific as well. So
amazing.
It might be the Yatla Drive-In movies, Top Golf, and 10-pin bowling. So you get 3 options shown to you, and you also get a timer. So there's a 60-second countdown timer so that we take away indecisiveness as well. So after 60 seconds, if you haven't chosen, one of the options goes away, and then you've got to choose from the other 2. And if you don't choose again, it ends up choosing for you.
Oh, I love this.
So same with restaurants, and then same with the Kama Sutra. So like we said, it's the cool third friend, so that it's not one of you making the decisions and wearing the grunt of what activity you choose or whatever. But it's also keeping the ideas fresh, activities-wise, restaurants-wise, because it does get hard to think of dates at the end of the day. And often, a lot of times, even where you live, you forget about what is great around you as well. But also, I guess the great thing is, because it is location-specific, if you guys were to holiday to the Gold Coast, where's good around here to eat? You can shake it and it will pull the restaurants for around where you are on the Gold Coast. And same for activities. So it also helps if you're on an overnight stay somewhere on one of your 2x2s or going away somewhere as well.
Yeah, I love this. So the data nerd in me needs to know, is it integrated with Google? How is it pulling those recommendations? Like, how do I know it's not going to suggest me a shit restaurant?
So
Personally vetted by Matt.
Yeah, you know what? It is. Let me tell you, I haven't been getting much sleep.
Yeah.
It is. So we do use the database from there to pull on the back end. We have only loaded 4-star plus restaurants from Google reviews.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing.
And then they are all vetted by me and put through the back end. So the same with activities. And we do have a lot of non-location specific activities as well. So it has been quite a while in the making. So at one stage we were planning to do a lockdown Jaha. That's how long we've been working on it for. So we do have quite a lot of amazing home activities as well. And we also do have a budget option on the app. So when you're in activities, you can select your budget. So if it's one of those weeks where your money's going elsewhere, but you still want to go on the date, you can choose the free activities and it will throw you 3 selections of dates or things that you can still do that don't require money. Because I think that can be a barrier sometimes as well. People think it's going to cost money, so I can't do the dates. Like, not the case. We've got you covered. Because even we fall into that trap too. Sometimes you're looking at what are you going to do? And again, for us, it's like, these are all solutions to the problems that we've had and we've experienced, and it's helped us. And if we can help even one other couple, then that's what we're after at the end of the day.
Yeah, when you were saving for New York and you had these big things on the horizon, you still want to prioritize going out for a date. So,
exactly right. And it's easy to forget that those things are there. So
yeah, definitely.
All right, big fan of this concept. Can't wait to give it a test drive. So what I would love to know though is, outside of your dating practice, what are some of the things that you do in your own relationship to keep it fueled up?
A big one for us is we used to do presents, and probably about 5 years ago, we just were like, why are we just buying each other useless crap for? Like, why are we doing this? So for Christmas now, we pull our money that we used to spend on each other and we book ourselves a 2-night stay somewhere for the first week of Feb. So that's our Christmas present to each other. For Lenise's birthday, I book somewhere and take her away. So we're about experiences now, not gifts. So for my birthday, she books somewhere for me and surprises me and takes me away. And then I actually got this from my parents, who are my relationship goals. I think anyone that's ever met my parents,
they gave you a nice blueprint to work towards.
The best, not nice, the best. So for their wedding anniversary, each year they alternate, which is amazing for me because obviously I'm used to doing everything. So one year it's Lenise's turn to organise everything. So I know nothing. It's just 2, 3, 4 nights, whatever she's got planned, wherever it is. And that's what we do. We also make a big point of, I know a lot of friends that definitely get caught into this trap, and we've made sure that from the start we set this intention that our wedding anniversary day is the wedding anniversary. That's it. There's none of this, that's a weeknight, so we'll do it on the weekend, because then that soon becomes, but that weekend we're busy, so we'll do it. And people end up not doing it sometimes at all. So for us, if the wedding anniversary is on a Wednesday, we both run our own businesses, so it does cost us both. But to us, that's far more important than work or money. For us, it's like, that's our day. So when it's on a Wednesday, the anniversary is planned around that. It's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or whatever day it is. So we make sure that the dates hold. There's none of this palming off to the next weekend or the next free time we have, because I think a lot of people start to not place, I guess, as high importance on their dates and on the big milestones as they should, and they're really worth celebrating. And your relationship and your time together is something that you need to celebrate and enjoy.
Yeah,
I love that. Yeah. One of the maxims that I live by is what gets celebrated gets repeated. So there's so many things that we achieve and moments of success that a lot of people just blow past, whether or not they're big things or little things like personal bests or personal records or having a conversation that you really were hesitant to have, like, celebrate that you did that, celebrate that you went through that. Even just acknowledging, like, hey, the past version of me would have responded to that so differently than this version of me now. And when you notice those things, like, celebrate and reward and applaud yourself for that. You know, something that I've been struggling with is that I set myself a goal of closing all of my Apple rings every single day for over a year. And then I hit the 365 days and I was like, fuck, I hadn't actually decided how I was going to celebrate it. Yeah. So now I'm like probably like 100 days past it. And I still am like, what am I going to do for myself to like mark this occasion? Because I want to keep this habit up. You know, so, you know, I'm big on celebrating and rewarding and applauding like what you want to have more of in your life. And if you want to have more relationship milestones, another year, another anniversary, celebrate it. Celebrate that you've made it through this last year. I'm sure you faced challenges and hurdles and all of those things. Like, and look, you grew, you made it. Here we are. I think there's like such wonderful moments in time to reflect and set intentions for the year ahead too.
Yeah, so, definitely.
I love that you've got that practice. Is there anything else, if you want to share something that your parents do, if they've given you the absolute best blueprint, tell us, what else have you learned from your parents?
Well, I mean, that's one is the anniversaries and swapping and putting in effort evenly is definitely a big one for me. As a kid, I remember we had babysitters a lot on the weekends, and my sister and I loved that. Like, we loved having babysitters. We loved doing that. And at the time, obviously, you didn't know what that was doing for them. But obviously now as an adult in a relationship, you realize that that was allowing them to still have a relationship together and still going out with friends, still going out with each other and having those nights. I think a lot of people forget about the relationship when they have kids. So like I said, looking back as an adult now, I realize that we had babysitters and we loved the babysitters, but what it was doing for them was they never stopped having the quality time together ever. They didn't let anything impact that. And I think a lot of people will use the too busy, whatever excuse under the sun to not do those things.
Or my kids don't sleep somewhere else, or they need me to go to bed, or whatever it might be. I mean, we don't have kids, so I don't really know what the excuses are, or I can't relate.
But like I said, all I know is definitely that was a big one, was they always each week made time for themselves as a relationship. Regardless of what was going on around them, they always made time for each other.
I really love that. And I think like this might sound so brutal, but you know, when people deprioritize their relationship and investing in things like those date nights or those weekends away or the babysitter or whatever it is, like, oh, but it costs so much money. Like, do you know what else is expensive? Divorce.
Yeah. I'm 100% there with you. Yeah.
Just choose your hard. Which version do you want?
Yeah. That's one of my favorite sayings. Choose your hard.
Yeah. So, Matt, thank you so much for joining us. Give us a little plug. Where can people get the app? What's the process? How do they do it?
Okay, so it is in the Apple App Store and the Android Google Play Store. It is Shake N Date. We do have Instagram as well, and our handle is Shake N Date. So it will look like Shake and Date. And then our Facebook is Shake and Date as well.
Awesome. Hey, thank you so much for joining us. To say thank you, we've given 100 days of medication to some nursery school children in Ethiopia. We know that if kids can have a really strong start out of the gate, it sets them up for life. So thank you so much for making that possible.
Oh, wow. No, thank you guys. You guys are just incredible. Thank you for everything that you do.
We're going to come up to the Gold Coast and go on is there a double date function? Maybe that's version 2.0.
It is to come. Don't worry. There are plenty of things in the works. Definitely.
But we'll be the guinea pigs for it.
Yeah.
We would love that. All
right. Well, thanks, Matt.
Thank you so much. Thanks, guys.
Thanks heaps for joining us. If you love what we're doing here and want more, subscribe to the Date Forever podcast to make sure you never miss an ep. Come and hang out with us and other awesome couples who are fueling up their relationships in the Thriving Couples Collective Facebook group, or check us out at fuelcollective.com.au. Until next time, keep on dating, because better relationships equal a better world.